Expedia helps you find the right time to book.
这是超慢的速度。我现在这个眼前有 iPhone 16和 iPhone 16 Plus， 给大家看一下。我左边的这个是 iPhone 16，右边的是 iPhone 16 Plus。整个屏幕尺寸跟之前都是一样的，6.1英寸和6.7英寸。表面看起来没有任何变化，但其实它表面使用的这个瓷晶大颗粒啊，比之前坚硬了50%。对比的这个参照物是 iPhone 12。背面的话，我们来看一下，摄像头变成了这种垂直的了，并行的了，所以我们可以拍摄空间视频，然后这个是4800万像素，主摄像头是升级到了4800万像素，超广角是原来的1200万像素。大家看一下侧边这边新增了一个操作按钮，跟之前的 iPhone 15系列是一样的。下面最关键的右边，这边增加了一个相机复制按钮，它基本上可以提供5种操作方式，一个是轻按2下，然后按住，还可以。
看真实案例品人间悲欢。大家好，我是瑞，欢迎打开拍片档案。这段时间啊，不管是评论区还是私信留言，都有很多同学敲碗，要我们来讲讲发生在法国巴黎的代购杀人案。不能。
All right, I'm back. I'm back from Australia, all the way from down under, and I did bring exactly one souvenir with me, but I flew in this morning because Apple said they were going to announce some stuff. And they did. There was an event today. So here's my first impressions. So we got the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro today, along with new AirPods and Apple Watch. And I've got some hands-on and some first impressions for you of all that stuff right here. So let's just start with the new phones. We knew this was coming, right? A very, very minor incremental overall update. But somehow Apple's still got to try to get people to buy it. So what will they do? So iPhone 16 looks very much like iPhone 15, but there's some new colors, as you can pretty much always count on. This year it's ultramarine, which is kind of this indigo, pretty sick, teal, pink, black, and white. And the cameras, instead of being diagonally oriented, are now lined up again next to each other like it was back in the iPhone 10 days. But it's not just a retro touch, that's also so it can shoot spatial videos and pictures now, so the sensors are aligned with each other again. But then everything else, the rounded corners, the size of the regular phone and the Plus phone, the speakers, the antenna lines, everything just basically the same. Not much new going on here. Inside, they bumped it up from the A16 Bionic to a new A18, so there's some solid performance improvements in the 20 to 30% range, better ray tracing, and a 2 times faster neural engine and 8 gigs of RAM for all that Apple Intelligence stuff. Really the most underrated new hardware to me though that they talked about is Apple briefly mentioned that these new phones will all have larger batteries. And so that seems to imply that it will actually have better battery life, but also at no point did Apple ever say any numbers. Not a single number was uttered during the battery section, no graphs or anything like that. So we don't know exactly how much bigger this new battery actually is, and the only numbers we've been able to find is if you look on Apple's compare page for the phones, it said the iPhone 15 would get a battery life of 20 hours of video playback, and this new 16 gets 22. So I'm going to be putting these through the paces. You already know if you want to get subscribed to be among the first to see the full review, that's when we'll be able to figure out if it's actually a significant improvement in battery in other ways. But as of right now, better battery, sure. And I never thought I'd say this sentence again, but this new iPhone has 2 new buttons. So first of all, it gets the action button from last year's Pro. So now you can do the exact same customized shortcuts from a flashlight or Shazam to a Siri shortcut or whatever you want. And then there's also another new button called Camera Control. And this second button, it's a touch-sensitive cutout covered in sapphire with a Taptic engine behind it. Now it does actually move, it is an actual button, just to be clear, but just like the trackpad on a lot of modern laptops, the vibration motor clicks to also make a half press feel like you're clicking a 2-stage button, like a camera shutter button. And it is also very convincing. So the magic of this camera control area, that's what they're calling it, is that it is pressure sensitive and it's basically a tiny trackpad on the corner of the phone. It's capacitive sensitive, so you can swipe and do gestures along the corner of the phone. And so Apple's decided everything that this button will do will be camera related. So if you press it from the lock screen, it opens the camera app, and then when you're in, you can click it again to take a photo, or long press to start taking a short video. But then you can do a little half-strength double tap to open up a menu for different camera options, and then slide your finger along this camera control to change them. So, it takes some getting used to. You gotta get used to the placement of your hand and how fast you swipe, but once you kind of know what you're doing, it feels pretty smooth and it's pretty sensitive and intuitive. So this is all a bunch of functionality that's being added basically into Apple's camera app, but Apple's also said that third-party apps that use the camera will also be able to take advantage of the camera control. So Snapchat, Instagram, Halide, etc., they'll be able to also use the slider. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's technically very...
Get what you want when you want it. How about a classic Big Mac or a new McDonald's McCrispy? And top it off with a McFlurry.
With BMO's flexible online investing options, your personal goals are within reach. Access personalized tools and support with BMO Investor Line. Find your perfect online investing fit.
Impressive. I'm just trying to figure out, kind of similar to the action button, how useful it will actually be. Like, it is kind of in this awkward spot on the bottom right of the phone. It makes sense as a horizontal shutter button, but they're kind of splitting the difference, trying to also make it usable in a vertical orientation. I'm curious how many people actually use this regularly, because again, it is on all the phones. But yeah, that's about it for the 16. I mean, the display also does now drop down to 1 nit minimum brightness, so that's great at night. It is also still a 60 hertz display on an $800 flagship in 2024. So that's really disappointing for me personally, but overall this phone is, I'd say it's still pretty tempting to say that this base model is probably a better buy for most people over the Pro phones, but let's just get into the Pro phones, shall we? New colors this year. Desert Titanium, which goes alongside the classic natural titanium, and then a slightly darker black and a slightly whiter white. But otherwise, same design again, plus the new camera control. And the main updates with the Pro are the new screens and the new chip. So the phones actually get slightly bigger this year. So the screen sizes are up to 6.3 inches on the Pro and 6.9 inches on the Pro Max, thanks to the thinner bezels, which I didn't think I would notice, but I'm actually looking at them and they are a little noticeably thinner, so you can kind of tell. And inside there is also a new chip as well. It's the A18 Pro. So this is the new highest end chip in any iPhone. And this again should have performance boost and efficiency boost over last year's Pro phone, again in the 20 to 30% range. So CPU and GPU improving, better ray tracing, should still have the faster USB 3 speeds that the Pros get. But again, the efficiency improvements have them saying that the Pro Max will now be the longest battery life ever in an iPhone. By how much? I don't really know, but that's good to see. But the camera is, of course, always the highlight of the Pro phones, and there are 3 new cameras on these Pros versus last year. So a new 48 megapixel main camera, then a higher resolution 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera from the 12 from last year. And then the smaller Pro also gets a 5x telephoto now. So the smaller Pro used to have a 3x, but now both Pros have matching all 3 cameras. It's also wireless charging a little bit faster, 25 watts. So that'll get you 50% in 30 minutes of charging with the new MagSafe charger, nothing too crazy. And also 4K 120 FPS slow motion straight out of the cameras now. And that's pretty sick. Now I'm sure the file sizes will be nuts from the ProRes version of this, but it gives you really functional files that you can do a lot with. It also totally proves to me that they could handle processing enough to shoot 8K 30, but they're just choosing not to. Now there was a whole lot of talk, a whole long section of the keynote where they constantly talked about Apple Intelligence, and I mean they have to because it's a really big deal for them, but the thing is these phones will launch with iOS 18.0, and that means they will launch with no Apple Intelligence features at all. No Genmoji, no Image Playground, no writing tools, nothing. That shiny brand new iPhone 16 that you take out the box in September 2024 and start using in a couple weeks will have the old Siri on it. Now they'll start to come out bit by bit with software updates. So 18.1 has the new Siri and a bunch of writing tools and some other stuff, but it's becoming harder and harder to pair that stuff directly to this new phone as a part of this upgrade. I mean, if you've watched my videos before, you know about one of the golden rules, which is to never buy something based on the promise of future software updates. So this feels like a big separation moment for the iPhone, at least to me, where each year of the new physical phone that you buy is just a small improvement. It's just a little bit faster chip, a little bit better screen, slightly better cameras. But on the other side is this rapidly improving ball of all this AI stuff that is not launching on the phone, but that is the totally separate, really big reason to get the phone. So yeah, it feels like I'm gonna need to review all of that stuff separately in its entirety when it does finally come out, because it comes out so separately from the phone itself. Anyway, there were also some other Apple announcements today, aside from just the iPhones. We got new AirPods and new watches. So there were lots of rumors about this huge redesign with the Apple Watch for the 10th year, but now that we actually see it, Apple Watch Series 10 is mostly slightly new again. Now, okay, it is 10% thinner and 10% lighter, and that's nice, and it has a slightly larger display again with thinner bezels and better viewing angles, plus the new S10 SIP inside. That's it. Oh, and of course you gotta throw in some new colors as well. So the aluminum has silver or rose gold, or this new jet black finish, which is a bit of a shiny throwback. And then they've dropped stainless steel for titanium, which now comes in natural titanium, gold colored, or slate colored. So that's the redesign. Again, it is pretty minor. I don't want to downplay the amount of technical engineering that goes into achieving these things. Like, clearly you still have to combine the metal backplate and the charger into one piece with the antennas integrated to improve the thinness. And they're using what they're calling the first wide-angle OLED display to help you see the screen from more angles, which actually does matter on a watch. But yeah, I think if you were expecting some crazy radical, square watch or something nuts, then yeah, this is very much still the classic Apple Watch shape. There are some new watch faces, since the second hand now is always visible, even when it was on display, is gone dark, so that's cool. There's also a new depth app and a new times app, which I think looks really cool. I don't even surf or have any use for this app, but it's just kind of cool flipping through and seeing exactly when sunrise and sundown are and high tide and low tide are every day if you're near a coastline. They also introduced sleep apnea detection using only the gyroscope. There's another coming soon feature. It's like pending FDA approval and regulatory bodies around the world to actually launch, but the fact that it only uses the gyroscope to detect it, I thought that was pretty cool. So those Series 10 watches are going to start at the same prices as last year's Series 10 watches. And then we also got a new Apple Watch Ultra 2. And by new Apple Watch Ultra 2, I mean a satin black finish of the existing Apple Watch Ultra 2. And I am so into it. I have absolutely no real reason to upgrade, but this is just one of those things that companies sometimes do. They just make a matte black version of something that I totally don't need, but suddenly they have my shipping address and credit card info, and I just end up buying one. I'm told this is a pretty robust coating process, so hopefully it shouldn't chip or scratch too easily and then maybe show like light raw titanium underneath. But also it's an ultra watch, so I think someone's gonna do it. But then there are also the new AirPods, the AirPods upgrades. One of them's a fake upgrade. So the new base AirPods, AirPods 4, have been redesigned, and there's actually two versions. So for $129, there's the new AirPods 4 with the new shape, and then for $179, there's the same new AirPods version, but you also get active noise cancellation and a wireless charging case with a tiny speaker built in for Find My. So yeah, this new shape is a little different, so it may fit a little better in some people's ears, like mine. Like the old ones are terrible for me, but these are a little better. But that also means they may be a little bit worse in some people's ears. But yeah, to get, I think, for under $200 active noise cancellation in AirPods with a 4-hour battery life, I think it'll be a nice little target demographic waiting for that. And then AirPods Pro 2 didn't really get a whole lot technically new here, but they also did get certified as a clinical grade hearing aid, which is pretty awesome. Plus some other hearing protection and testing features are added as well. But the biggest upgrade of the day, and by that I mean non-upgrade, fake upgrade of the day, goes to AirPods Max. Now keep in mind, these headphones came out originally in 2020. Like, we reviewed these a long time ago. These were $550 when they launched, and they're still $550 in 2024, and they still have a lightning port, and they still don't have an on-off button, and they still have that dumb case that they came with. So they finally get this update, AirPods Pro 2. And the update is 5 new colors, and they have a USB-C port now, which, okay, yeah, they literally had a lightning port in 2024, so we're happy to see that, but then that's it? Like, there's not a single other change to these new AirPods. They still don't have an on-off button in 2024. They still have that stupid case they came with. Like, they got the feedback. We know this case. This case isn't good. They didn't improve that at all. They still have the H1 chip, even though all the other AirPods are on the H2 chip now. What? Did the entire AirPods Max team go into a coma for 4 years and then wake up a week before this announcement and scramble to put this together? This is weird. The sad part is, I'm probably still going to upgrade to them anyway because I just don't carry a lightning cable around anymore, and I keep forgetting it, and then they keep dying, and I keep needing a lightning cable, and it's just, let me just stop having that headache. But yeah, weird non-upgrade, very disappointing AirPods Max. But that's basically it. Those are my announcement thoughts and reactions and first impressions. And generally, yeah, not but major new stuff. I think really the two big highlights are, one, this separation between the hardware upgrade and all the software that's coming to the hardware but not launching with it. And honestly, two, is this camera control thing, this weird button that they've added. It's fascinating. The fact that they've added it to both the Pro and non-Pro phones when I didn't think they would. That's interesting. The fact that case manufacturers are going to have to deal with this now. Like, some of them are going to have a little cutout for it, and some of them may try to do the same thing Apple did with like a little capacitive glass thing over the top of it to keep it flush. That's interesting. The fact that it won't come out with the 2-stage shutter press in the actual camera app until later this year via a software update. That's just weird too. There's just a lot of fun, weird stuff going on with Shutterbug. But now that you've made it this far, let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see in those full reviews as you get subscribed to see them. And thanks to Anker for sponsoring this video. Their latest MagGo lineup is out, the 6 series, and there's a couple changes. There's a new slimmer battery bank. There's a battery bank with an Apple Watch charger, stand with a rotating click head. Alright, so if you're watching this when I'm publishing it, then that means that I am in Australia right now, competing for a world championship. The World Ultimate Frisbee Championships, where I'll be playing for Team USA Mixed. Now this is different from the Beach World Championships, where I also played with USA Mixed and we got bronze. And it's also different from the Club World Ultimate Championships, which we got gold with Pony in 2021. But Ultimate is confusing. But basically the story is every few years there's the World Championships, and USA invites a bunch, like 200 people to a tryout, and then selects like 25 people per team to represent USA in the World Championships that year. There's a men's team, a women's team, and a mixed team. And I've been trying out for, or trying to play for these teams basically for my entire Ultimate career. That's been like the thing that I look up to. So I remember right out of high school, Junior Worlds, U20s, I applied, got a tryout, didn't make the team. A little after that, U23s, I applied, also got a tryout, didn't make that team. And then I've been trying, not even getting invited to tryouts for, the past couple World Championships. Then 2023 comes along, I end up getting on the Beach Worlds team, and then 2024 for the grass team, I got a tryout and actually made the team. So Team USA Mixed, that's where we're at. So I tweeted about this earlier this year, that this will be a bit of a busy year for Ultimate for me, just between the pro teams and the club team and the USA training camps, and then the actual tournament itself. So kind of already knowing I'm probably gonna end up actually missing a few tech things, but that, I'm totally fine with that. But so yeah, by the time you see this, I'm heading down, or I'm in Australia or something. I'm gonna edit this on the plane, but that's a week-long tournament where we'll be competing internationally against all the best teams from all over the world, which is super exciting. It's an honor, it's a thrill, it should be really cool. There is a site called UltiWorld that will be covering the tournament, maybe live streaming a few of the games, but behind a paywall probably. But I'll also try to post some stuff that I can on Twitter when it's available, just so you guys can be updated with what's going on. But yeah, that's I do know. So our first few games we know already are against Switzerland, Austria, Argentina, and Japan. But that's also an extremely long flight. So I'm going to edit this on the flight, and hopefully that keeps me busy for some of the hours. But I haven't done one of these in a while. A Q&A. I asked you guys on Twitter what you wanted to know about gadgets, tech, YouTube, ultimate, whatever, life, anything, and here's your best question. By the way, somebody asked me last time what this mic is. It's the Teenage Engineering CM15. I have loved this mic for the past couple years. I need a better stand for it, so I'm hand holding it. But anyway. Okay, first question. What do you think about Cristiano Ronaldo joining YouTube and his meteoric rise? 20 million subscribers in a little over 24 hours is crazy. Yeah, that is pretty insane, and it's continued. I think it's like 30-something million plus now. Yeah, that's sick, and I think that's just a testament to where YouTube is at. Not a lot of people who are that famous are not on YouTube, and also YouTube, I don't think people realize Ronaldo's like one of the most followed humans on social media. It's got like 600 million on Instagram, so 30 million is like a rounding error to this guy. But also, yeah, people are saying he's passing Mr. Beast soon or something like that. I would pump the brakes on that. I just want to see what he actually does on YouTube, because there's a bunch of videos out now. He's not running it. There's somebody running it for him. But how long do they keep it up? What types of videos do they actually make? Do they like lean into the YouTube culture? Do they collab with anyone at all, or do they just like make highlight reels of his day or whatever it is? I don't know. Mr. Beast is at like 300 million, so that's a long way from 30 million. But we'll see how the trajectory goes based on what they actually post. What app is #1 in your screen time? Probably Waze, honestly, with all the recent road trips and stuff. Or it's also probably TickTick. I just to-do list apps. I'm just always in there. Oh, this is a good one. What's a piece of technology that you have that isn't worth making a video about, but you now couldn't live without? That is a good question. My real answer is probably my calendar app, just because like I'm not going to make a video just all about my calendar and how I use it. Maybe I should, I don't know, but that's something I could not live without. But it's accessory stuff like my mouse, like that. I made an MX Master video. Maybe I do make videos on these things. My studio monitors at the studio, I have the Yamaha HS8s. I've never made a video about those, but I've had them for years and years and years, and they are so tried and true. So I'm going with that because they are some of my favorite equipment. I know you probably want like an everyday gadget, but Yamaha HS8.
I got 2 words: Jobber Payments. We ran a study inside our company. We're over $12,000 now collected for tips from our clients, 100% to our technicians. So me as a business owner, anytime my people can make more in the field, it makes me very happy as a business owner. So we run all our payment collection through Jobber Payments. We take deposits, 10 out of 10, fantastic. It's part of the truth.
Okay. How long before we get to know if the Vision Pro, Apple Vision Pro, was a success or a failure? And they haven't launched a second one yet. Of course, it has been fascinating to watch like the arc of the Vision Pro. I also tweeted recently, because I'm curious if people who have Vision Pro still use it every day. I know I don't. I started using it a lot in the beginning, and then my usage just fell off a cliff. And there's new experiences for it, and there's new apps. But I think everyone's usage for Vision Pro was very high in the beginning, and now has like stabilized to some level. But is Vision Pro a success or not? I mean, a lot of people are saying no because it hasn't sold well, and it's $3,500. Of course, it hasn't sold well. That's not really a shock. I am mostly curious though about the second generation part. What the second generation is the thing that teaches you the most about how that company feels about that product, about how it's hitting the market, about what actually worked with the first gen. And I suspect that Apple's next version of the Vision Pro is not Pro. It's just Vision. I mean, they put the word Pro on the end because this is a high-end one, but there will be a Apple Vision or whatever, so Vision Air, whatever they call it, but a lower price version that will aim to be a stripped down, more mass-produced version for more people. That one's going to be the most interesting one. Obviously, Vision Pro is exciting and at the bleeding edge, but what comes after Vision Pro? That's what I'm interested in. Ooh, someone said, what is the oldest phone you think you could use as a daily driver today? Whoa. Okay. Honestly, because there's some throwback phones that I really like. So my mind is going to the last few. I'm thinking about OnePlus 7 Pro. That phone was super smooth, super very usable for a long time. When did that come out?
The OnePlus 7 Pro was unveiled on May 14th, 2019.
Okay, so a 2019 phone. I guess that's 5 years ago. Is kind of a long time in tech terms. But the other one I think is the Pixel 3 XL. You know, the bathtub notch, the big bathtub notch Pixel. That one might be the same year. Oh, 2018. Okay, October 9th, 2018. 6-year-old phone, Pixel 3 XL, still has a good camera, still has that clean software. I don't know about getting all the software updates at this point, but those are some of the oldest phones I think I could legitimately sail daily today. What is the best ultimate frisbee move you have ever witnessed? Wow. Okay. I've seen a lot in person. I've had the privilege of playing with some all-time athletes and players. You know, if you look up ultimate frisbee highlights on YouTube, it's crazy because it's still a young sport and there's not a lot of great footage of lots of games that get played. And so crazy highlights and athletic plays happen all the time, but they aren't really filmed very well. When they are, they immediately make ESPN top 10 and they're some of the sickest highlights to watch. But I gotta think of, so there's actually 2 throwing highlights that come to mind just as someone who's trying to become a better thrower. One is my teammate Jimmy's throw in semis in 2022 at Nationals. It is crazy upwind flick cut that it was just ridiculous. It needs so much strength. And then also Harper, my other teammate, he's also playing on this Worlds team, by the way, had this sick hammer from the sideline in the finals of the Pro League in, I want to say that was 2021 maybe, but against Dallas. And that was I was right on the sideline next to it, and I've never seen a throw like that in my life. Oh, possibly my favorite game though. I've played in a lot of fun games. Comebacks though, always the most fun to play in. And I really hope my teammates remember this. When we were in high school, we played against a YCC team, so a high-level youth nationals team, on our home field in front of our parents, and we went down 8-0 at halftime. And then we came back and won the game 15-14. It was probably the most fun I've ever had on a field. And on the sideline, cheering on teammates, that type of game, that's very rare. I will never forget that. How much do you use ChatGPT or similar in your daily life? Do you use AI as well to check, correct, or edit content? And how much AI is used in content creation in general? What's your feeling about it? I've been asked a lot about this AI stuff a lot lately. How much do I use AI tools? How do I feel about them? Obviously, there's a lot of controversy with them being trained on our content. It's actually pretty minimal for me. So I use it occasionally for brainstorming and for expanding on or rewriting ideas. Obviously not these Q&A videos, but I do write out basically almost everything in the actual reviews and the topical videos that I make. And so sometimes it's useful to use Gemini or ChatGPT to twist an idea or to come up with something and brainstorm. So that's one thing. I don't use AI to edit almost anything. We don't use AI-generated music. We don't use AI-generated images or anything. That's kind of just a fun tool to play with. When are you releasing your next sneaker? All I'm going to say is Techtember is going to be pretty sick. I'll put it that way. We already know Techtember is usually very busy, and it will be busy again, but we got some extra stuff planned for Techtember and beyond. So if you haven't subscribed already, get subscribed. There's so much good stuff coming up. Oh, how did it feel to have Steph Curry respond to you? Oh, you didn't know Steph and I are we're super tight. We're super close like that. That one time that I met him, that we shot a commercial together, we've been bros ever since then, obviously. No, I think it's hilarious. I tweeted at him. I tweeted mentioning him I didn't even mention him. I just said Steph Curry's my GOAT during the Olympics when he was going on that barrage at the end of the finals game against France. And then I guess he logged into Twitter this week and decided to reply to one comment, and it was mine. Hey, Talk that talk, Steph. Okay, Quinn asks, what percentage of your driving time is spent in each of your cars? Valid question. I do review a bunch of cars. I spend time with those, but when I'm not, there are 3 vehicles in the fleet, and I'm probably going to get rid of one of them soon. But I spend 90-something% of the time daily in the Turbo S. I have 12,000 miles on it at this point in a couple of months, and it's everything I was hoping it would be. I gotta say, it is pretty incredible. Then the last few percent are spent in the Rivian R1T. So the Cybertruck, don't really use very much. And there's also that clause in the sales the purchase agreement that you can't sell it within a year. So I just kind of have it. Maybe we'll still try to sell it. I don't know. Maybe we'll attempt. It's good for work. We've used it for work a bunch of times. Shooting rollers, going to shoot that PGA Tour video. Like, it fits the most gear. It's the biggest truck. It's the most stuff. Great for road trips with the team. But yeah, it's like 95% dailying the Turbo S, 4% R1T, 1% Cybertruck at this moment. Okay, do you think Tim Cook actually believes the Magic Mouse's ergonomics are done well? No, I do not think he believes that. If you are unfamiliar, I did ask him about it in my interview with him recently. And when I asked him about the Magic Mouse, you can see it in his eyes, genuinely. That is the first time anyone has even mentioned a Magic Mouse to him in years. And I actually, honestly, now I'm saying this out loud, this is one of the things that I think most people don't understand about like these types of interviews. Like, a small time example is Tim Cook obviously does not deal on the daily with the specific ergonomics of the Magic Mouse. I mean, almost nobody does at Apple, but definitely not Tim Cook. Tim Cook is the CEO, which means his job description is the highest level stuff. It's the strategy, it's the business, it's if you're Tim, it's the supply chain stuff. That's what Tim Cook makes daily decisions on. And so when I'm interviewing someone like this, it feels like that would be the thing to talk to them about, but also that's like some of the less exciting stuff I want to get into the nitty-gritty about tech. So the thing, I guess the point I'm trying to make is the Talking Tech series, it started as I want to do interviews and talk to people with interesting perspectives on technology at all. And the first episode was a virtual interview with a tech person, but then it was also Kobe Bryant mixed in with Neil deGrasse Tyson, mixed in with Will Smith. Like, there's a wide variety of people who have interesting thoughts on tech. But it turns out when you do 1 or 2 other tech executive interviews, all the rest of the tech executive PR teams also reach out and want to do an interview. And then we just kind of fell down that slippery slope of like, oh, we just did all the tech CEOs, and most of them are, well, let's be honest, they're media trained PR machines. So I want to talk to more product people. I want to talk to more like people who are in the nitty gritty of actual product stuff, and also who are not even in the tech world, just for their perspectives on tech. Like, I saw, you're probably wondering, I saw the Louis Rossmann video, and while I think he has a lot of good points and is totally valid to feel like, you know, talking to someone at Apple is just shilling. I guess you guys don't know, I cut like 90% of the actual interview and things that I talked to him about. I talked to the head of hardware at Apple, hoping to get even more nitty gritty with hardware, but still got a lot of like fluff and cut almost all that stuff. I kept like the 10% that I felt was actually compelling and interesting about, you know, hardware being designed for longevity versus repairability. But people didn't love that either. But either way, yeah, I'm hoping to talk to more people who are actually doing this stuff on the ground and who are heavily involved in the product stuff. So long story short, I feel like I'm probably done with tech CEO interviews. We've also kind of done them all at this point. It's not like people are clamoring for the next one. So I'm interested if you guys have suggestions on what people should be next on the list for Talking Tech. Who should we actually add and have a chat with? That's a good one maybe to end with. So YouTube is the crown jewel of video platforms right now. I would agree. Why is that? Will a different platform disrupt it in the next 10 years? And if so, why would that happen? And the short answer is stability and money. Like, people, for the entire history of time, they go where the money is. So YouTube has been the most stable platform for discovery and for monetization for the longest time. And that is why they are the crown jewel of YouTube. That's why Instagram is like spinning its tires and trying to find ways to compensate creators to get them to stay and be discovered. That's why TikTok, number one, is trying to compete with YouTube. They just enabled like super long videos. But also, if they don't pay people, that's why you see TikTokers getting huge on TikTok and then moving over to YouTube. That's why you see Cristiano Ronaldo starting a YouTube channel. It's just a place that you can be discovered and make money. Now, will it ever be disrupted in the next 10 years? Because at this point, it's like also now the world's video library it feels huge, like too big to fail. And it kind of seems like it can't fail. Like the one thing that could take down YouTube would be what? An adpocalypse, right? Some event, some horrible series of things that ruins advertiser trust in being able to advertise on YouTube and for creators to make money. A literal adpocalypse that drives advertisers away. And that happened. And then months/years later, slowly they all came crawling back because guess where the eyeballs are? Oh, they're on YouTube. So yeah, I always say YouTube is so big that if it ever were to fail, it would be such a slow, catastrophic, played out failure that we'd have time to see the sinking ship and jump to the next ship if there is one that's doing a better job. But yeah, they've been the most stable for a while, and I don't mind that one bit. But yeah, I think that's it. That's a good place to end it. There's some good questions in there. Let me know if you have other questions. I'll hang out in the comment section below. Of course, I'm probably not going to for the first week because, like I said, I'm in Australia right now. I'm in the Upside Down, hopefully winning some hardware. But yeah, take a little break while I do that. I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening and subscribing. And I'll catch you guys soon.
To improve your digital security, just turn on NordVPN. Guard yourself from data snoopers.
Okay, objectively, this is a bad smartphone, but something's going on here that's kind of nice. This thing's called the Boox Palma, B-O-O-X, kind of a weird name. It's supposed to read like books, but some people say books. But the idea is it's an e-paper device that's supposed to blend the world of the smartphone and the Kindle. Now, I don't want to call it a cult or anything like that, but this thing has definitely formed its own little fan base over the past couple of months where, hey, you either know about it or you don't. You're either in or you're not in. So the modern smartphone is kind of ridiculous. If you haven't thought about it lately, just take a second. It's kind of a marvel of engineering. It's amazing that we fit all of this computing power and an amazing screen and a super fast internet connection and a bunch of high quality cameras and sensors in this tiny little glass box that fits in our pockets and lasts all day. So there is a lot of upside that comes with that. But there is a certain downside too, which is sometimes it can be a little bit much. Like it can be just a little bit distracting or a little bit addicting, or sometimes you want to be able to spend just a little bit more time in the moment instead of looking at the world through your smartphone or just scrolling all the time. And so the self-control argument always comes up, but there's also been this new wave of devices specifically created to not be as distracting. Some people are calling them dumb phones. Sometimes they're even more limited communication, but the thing they all have in common is they literally can't get caught in a doom scrolling loop because they don't have apps or any distractions on them at all. They're purely for function. And this one of them has a bit of a cult following now, the Boox Palma. I picked it up because I saw our audio man Ellis started getting really into it. You might have seen it in a studio video. Then there was these articles about it and these reviews of it and people pouring their life into it and daily driving it. But the thing is, this is worse than a normal smartphone. Like, I don't want to just skip over that. Like, it's the shape and size and look of a normal smartphone. It's got an octa-core CPU, it's got 6 gigs of RAM, it's got a 6.1-inch screen, but it's worse. There is no SIM card tray, so there is no cellular connection at all. There is no selfie camera. The rear camera is only a low-res literal document scanner with no video recording. The speakers are almost useless, and it maxes out at 128 gigs of storage. So yeah, it's clearly worse. But if the mission is to spend less time on your actual smartphone, then all of these downsides are actually good things. You either get it or you don't, you know? The thing about e-readers is they are typically pretty limited single-use devices that only let you read with a single app or a single ecosystem of services. Like the newest Kindle, for example, it's $100, it's thin and light, everybody knows what a Kindle is, but really all it's meant to do is read books from Amazon's Kindle bookstore. Everything else is an afterthought. There's stuff like the Kobo Libra 2, which is a super popular alternative, costs $200. It has some extra journaling features and pen input, but this thing cannot play a single song from Spotify. Like the theme in this devices are solid, but of course nothing is really as versatile or capable as a full-on smartphone. So enter the Boox Palma. The Boox Palma, this thing runs Android and is basically just a straight-up smartphone inside without post data modems. So even though it's this awesome e-paper display and looks like a moving newspaper with A+ readability and all the benefits that come with the normal e-reader being easy on the eyes, you can technically also put whatever you want on it. It has the Google Play Store. You can sideload APKs. So yes, you can install the Kindle app and read Kindle books if you want, but also you can install the Pocket app or Raindrop.io or Readwise Reader and read articles you've saved. You can also install Audible and listen to ebooks with Bluetooth headphones. You can also install Spotify and use it as a portable zero distractions music player or podcast player. The list goes on. So smartphones are OP, they're up here, and single purpose e-readers are limited, they're more down here. Then the Boox Palma is like right in here, which is, it's clearly better than a single purpose e-reader. It's more capable, but it's clearly not as capable as a full-on smartphone. But just enough to be kind of charming in a sort of can't get sucked into a TikTok rabbit hole type of way. If you know, you know. Yeah, now a couple neat special things that you should know that you've seen before if you're in the e-reader world. Battery life is, well, compared to a smartphone, it's actually incredible. So this shouldn't be a surprise, but if you didn't know, e-ink basically only uses battery when it's actually refreshing and moving the ink around. So when it's just sitting on one page or just showing something for an extended time, that actually doesn't use power. So battery life on the books here is in the realm of days, not hours, sometimes weeks for a light user. The only other thing that can eat into battery really is the backlight, or in this case actually the front light. So e-ink screens aren't lit from behind, but there are lights around the front so you can still light it up and read in darker conditions. And that light can be tinted to match the color temperature of whatever room you're in. And there are some apps that also will let you map the side buttons to flipping pages instead of just being volume buttons like they normally are. And then there are different settings for the refresh modes as well. So all the way to the left is HD mode, which has the highest quality image with the least ghosting, but that's going to be also the slowest refresh rate. So that's fine for just sitting and reading. But on the far right mode is ultra fast mode, which will have the smoothest relative refresh rate, but also the worst quality. This is when you scroll and you kind of see a little bit of that ghosting in the background of the previous image. Honestly, it gets quick enough to be able to legibly watch videos if you really, really wanted to. It's kind of this trippy Harry Potter Daily Prophet kind of world where, remember the moving newspapers from the movies? Like obviously there's no colors, and on this model there's not nearly enough resolution to fully appreciate the video, but it's still kind of neat, it's better than nothing. But most of the time I leave it in balanced, which is the default, and I'm happy to basically never actually watch videos on this thing. Now, a couple times throughout this video, you've heard me say things like, hey, if you know, you know, or you either get it or you don't. And so you may be wondering if I've been converted, if I'm joining this Boox Palma mini cult, if I'm gonna daily this thing. No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, if you want to watch the experience of someone who actually did try to daily this thing, I'll link the studio video below where Ellis he went to the full lengths to try and carry a Wi-Fi hotspot to always have it connected everywhere since there's no SIM card. And I mean, I don't want to spoil the video, but it's a lot of work and it's not really worth it. But that's almost like it's overlapping, like it's missing the point. This is, I think, meant to be, or at least it's in its best state when it is a device that you avoid smartphone tasks on. Like this as a secondary device that can be my alarm clock in the morning that I just reach over and hit dismiss, and I'm not immediately drowned in notifications because there literally is use their notification system. And I'm not tempted to jump into TikToks and Reels because it really doesn't do that well. Like, maybe there's something to that. Like, maybe there's something to a dedicated reading device that you can bring anywhere with you on any daily commute that doesn't ever suck you into the rabbit hole of Twitter or Reels or whatever. Like, real people want that. Like, I kind of love this as a literal, like an iPod, like a portable offline music player that I literally never watched YouTube videos on. It's kind of charming in that way. And this is somehow all of those things in one. So, I couldn't necessarily tell you the exact moment or why the book's Palma became like the face of this movement of these types of devices, especially when there are other alternatives that keep getting sent to me that are similar, stuff like the Hisense A9 or the Cobra Libra Color. Then again, the Hisense A9 is a smartphone. It costs a bit more and it has a data connection. And some people just don't really want it to do all that. And the Kobo Libra Color, as implied by the name, that's the one with the color display, and that's also just a little bit extra. So it kind of feels like the books is in the exact Goldilocks zone of just enough missing features that it's captured people's hearts. And that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes you're the ATH M50s that represent all affordable, good-sounding headphones. Maybe you're the GoPro that represents all smart action cameras. That's the book's Palma, and that's why it exists. This has been MKBHD. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Native whole body Geo. Rides on contact. So don't bother with those other tubes.
欢迎来到 VR 追踪。作为一个二手的美食博主，今天我们要去美国一个伊利诺伊州的昆西市拜访一个名叫 The Pizza Wagon 的酒吧。2020年1月22号礼拜三 ，Amy Blickney 很高兴的对媒体表示，自己家的亲朋好友们今天租下了这个酒吧的一块场地，大家要一起观看美国著名的电视节目《家庭问答》。因为他的家人在去年的5月份参加了这个节目，而今天1月22号正是该节目播出的时间。家庭问答这个节目最早是在1976年播出的，每次会邀请2个家庭来参加比赛，每个家庭请5位成员。制作团队会首先让进场的100位观众投票回答问题，他们投票越多的回答分数就越高。之后2个参赛的家庭成员们也会被问同样的问题，谁回答的问题越和现场观众的一致，谁就能得到更高的分数和奖金。这个节目经久不衰，一直很受欢迎，直到现在依然还在播出。在录播的时候，利弗尼克家庭里的 Tim 表现得非常抢眼，给他们的家庭拿了不少分，而其中的一个问题更是让他成为了当时的焦点。
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? Honey, I love you, but said I do.
凭借着 Tim 的出色表现，他的家庭最终获胜，拿下了当天晚上的$2万奖金。对于 Tim 当时关于后悔结婚的回答，大家都只当是一个笑话，没人能猜得到当时的他其实是肺腑之言。因为事实上 Tim 在2019年2月就开始和自己的妻子闹离婚，而2019年5月家庭问答录制的时候。